Good evening, Chicago. Welcome to a Hand Up Recovery Homes Recovery Show, Gun Violence Prevention Show. Wanted to just thank you for joining us. I want to introduce Wilbert Cook, our Executive Director.
All right, thank you, Eric. That was so kind of you. I appreciate your diligence in helping the organization through tough times, through great times, through any intermediary times. You have been a beacon of hope and inspiration to so many men and women recovering from various mind, mood altering substances, but you also been a lifesaver for many. I am Wilbur Cook, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of a Hand Up Recovery Homes. And we also do recovery support services, and we are a resource for temporary housing and occasionally more permanent-based housing for those who can be good neighbors. We have a good neighbor policy in our program, and a good neighbor policy if you want to remain a tenant in that community. They've had enough bad neighbors over the years. Speaking of that, Eric, what are some of the things you've seen positively changed in the environment in which we work in after we spent over 18 years trying to help people change their life in what was the storm, and now we really have a little calm over there?
Well, just today I was chatting with one of the gentlemen that has moved in that we're helping actually, and I was just looking at the facility. The facility has been renovated. I mean, you've got new floors, you've got fresh walls. Things are looking up. You've got different furniture, and I'm just grateful that we can actually bring people into an atmosphere that look kind of like the West Loop or some of the better. It's not really deep in the barriers and ghettos anymore.
Oh, really? Oh, you mean it's not people with clothes all over the bunk beds? You remember those days? It's not people watching the catastrophe from Hurricane Katrina and not sure if they want to go sell a $300,000 piece of property. You mean those days, Eric, where we were sitting in there and everything was barren, and we had even a little TV we was watching a tragedy, and we weren't sure how we were going to help hundreds and even thousands of other people that we've helped, almost 15 years later.
But he was telling me that there was some gunshots in the neighborhood just a couple of days ago. And it's just random. No one was hurt, thank God. But it would be really a good idea to get the guns out of the community altogether. But some things just aren't possible.
Well, unfortunately, we've gotten so scared that we put laws in place that bring more guns in, which was discussed earlier, too. Some people are so adamant about conceal and carry that they don't look at the potential, for one, that they may shoot and kill somebody, two, that they may get caught, as we saw, sleeping or by surprise, and they end up losing whatever they have and get their gun taken, and there's another one in the criminal's hands. And then, or mistakenly, if the police see their gun and don't get to ask them if they conceal and carry and have their paperwork first, they may get shot up first. And the questions may come afterwards. And there have been a few cases of that, too. So conceal and carry, even though I believe in people's right, people also have to realize that you are creating some new dangers for you and others while you're trying to protect yourself. And let's be clear, sometimes you may do more harm than good, no matter what your intention's like. We know in recovery, people, the road to hell, as we say, was paved with good intentions. People who plan to stop drinking, people who plan to stop doing meth, people who plan to stop doing cocaine, people who plan to stop doing heroin, and people who plan to stop doing heroin laced with fentanyl or Oxycontin. And some of them stopped, but they stopped and ended up in the graveyard or the penitentiary, and we hope people do not have to go those routes. in order to realize sometimes their behaviors, even though they intend good, can be dangerous and deadly.
So talk about, rarely we've seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed the hand-up recovery home path.
Oh, really? Wow. Our path? Well, we try to follow the path of, quote, the good book, which we have other stations where we talk about that more specifically with scriptures, but in theory, spiritual mechanisms. The other piece is we do use books that guide people in what we call the recovery process, a new way of life, and our motto is changing lives and saving families. We realize that alcoholism, substance abuse, and violence are family diseases, family illnesses. They affect more than just the person who's acting out. If you're an alcoholic, your negative behavior affects your family. If you're a drug addict, your negative behavior affects your family. If you have anger management and other mental emotional problems, it also affects the family. So we believe every time we help one of those struggling people, a gambler, a cigarette smoker, pipe smoker, cocaine snorter, heroin shooter, heroin smoker, alcoholics on all levels, whether they beeraholics or they straight up hard liquor alcoholics, or wine heads, whether it's top shelf wine or bottom shelf wine, you still are, quote, if you love wine too much, a wine head, wine no, even if you might go to the vineyards for yours. But anyway, I just thought I'd do that because sometimes we get caught on status even as we fall down the rungs of life instead of working our ways up and helping move our families up the ladders or rungs in life to have a better, more prosperous life. Eric, so that's what happens. We will avoid those pitfalls and we'll be able to move our whole family forward. We will have, when we do better, we get kids who end up getting education instead of ending up in the penitentiary. When we do better, we get kids that end up being doctors and nurses and not being street pharmacists, we call them. They don't end up out there peddling drugs. Or if they fall into them traps, usually if we turn our lives around, most of our children and relatives will turn their life around also because they will have seen a path out. So various ways when you turn around your life, like people who followed our path. We had a guy, Howard, serious heart disease, lived probably 20 years longer than they expected. He followed the path and he even joined an African-American based founded church, became an active member.
One tree introduced to God.
He got to the point he got insulted if the police stopped him because he was white in the black community headed to his black church where he was an outstanding member and a trustee. He helped manage the property of the church in and around the community and suburbs. And he took a great pride in that because it helped him turn his life around and he helped all the people he came in contact with. Howard ended up with a bus ministry. He helped people turn their life around while he was riding the CTA bus with them or the CTA trains with them and got them to go to different places, meetings where they could learn to change their life and even go to other spiritual institutions to learn to change their life. And I call Howard my CTA evangelist, for lack of a better word right now. Eric, some people you've seen do better and help change people's lives. You might want to talk a little bit about how many people you've helped over the last 20 years. We've been helping each other together and separately.
I mean, there's a fellow by the name of Eric Crawford. There's a fellow by the name of Donald Dew. There's people like Regina Lewis. There's people that have founded organizations that similar to ours, but they are outstanding people that are doing outstanding things in the community, helping people not end up overdosing on fentanyl and just helping people change their lives. giving people second chances, like Congressman Davis introduced that second chance legislation nationwide.
Yeah, one of our favorites legislative pieces. We were talking earlier about the fact we're more active in policy and legislation than we are politics. Some people do politics just to gain power and status and possibly a decent government job. Me and Eric do politics for neither one of those primarily. We do politics primarily to help move policy forward and legislation forward that will help change people's lives, that will help bring the funding to our community, and it will not get stuck in different organizations on their higher echelons, but that it be disseminated to new, small, medium-sized nonprofits and other groups, businesses that can then work more freely and be compensated for their work in the community. And we're great to be partnered with places like North Park University that has a civic engagement group helping the community groups get access to more funding. We have now Chicago Community Trust and other groups, even if they get rid of their DEI departments, they still are trying to be more equitable in getting their funding to the small, medium-sized groups, that it doesn't get ate up in administrative costs and other costs with some of the bigger groups they've traditionally funded. So we're working that side of the equation. Then me and Eric do something else. Many of our policy people and legislative type people don't like to do quite as much. We go out and we literally walk blocks. We go out, talk to people in the streets. We talk to people because we both still ride CTA. Matter of fact, Eric, why don't you apply to be the new CEO? Chicago Transit Authority. You've rode the bikes, you've rode the scooters, you've been on every train line, you've been on a bus, and you've helped people save their life and get to life-saving hospitals, recovery facilities, treatment facilities. You've helped people get all over the city of Chicago and Cook County using the transit system in order to save lives and improve people's life and help their families recover from the devastation of addictions, homelessness, and so forth.
The CTA is getting better. I need to give them some kudos, actually, you know, as far as
me too. I don't think they're as bad as they sometimes sound, and the leadership I don't think was as bad as it was being pointed out. But they say they want somebody who rides the line regularly to help make more service change and see the importance of service change and regular running buses like RTA. You got a 2-minute before-after window almost on every RTA and PACE bus. They will be there no more than about 2 minutes early and no later than about 2 minutes late. And I've seen them pull it over in 5 minutes, fix the fare box, and you be back on schedule 15 minutes later down the road. So, and for CTA, they pull it off the line and take it to the shop, and it might be there 3 days. So things like that, you know the difference in the different transit authorities, you would be able to add that, and I could be your assistant.
The Austin community, the West Garfield community, the North Lawndale community is pretty well covered, actually. I mean, we got the pink line, we got the green line, we got the blue line, we've got the Madison transit system, the Western. So, I mean, you can get
Jackson,
just about
Harrison,
anywhere in the metro area.
Yeah, the hospitals, institutions, education, downtown, and straight into the loop to Millennium Park. If you just want to go see the Bean or go skate at Maggie Daly Park, from our area of the West Side, you can get it everywhere in Chicago and downtown and even out to O'Hare Airport or Midway. There's a connection that our part of the transit system connects to.
In addition to the emergency rooms, if someone listening knows somebody that's got a drug or alcohol problem or a depression problem or a mental health problem, other than the emergency rooms at County Hospital, at Rush, at Loyola, at West Suburban Hospital, where are some of the places that people can go get help before coming to recovery? Some of our referral.
Well, I think, Haymarket is one great resource for recovery from alcoholism or substance abuse. Then you have your great place, intervention, Crossroad Interventions, out south. Then you have your Lutheran services on the north side. Is Ad Detox still open up there in Kidmore Avenue?
I believe it is open, but they're just doing certain things. They're not.
Okay.
For instance, they used to do cocaine, but they're not doing
cocaine.
Walking.
Oh, really? Anymore. Wow. Okay, but what about Weiss Memorial Hospital? Do they still have emergency room and a treatment and mental health facility? Loretta Hospital
St.
still
Joseph
has.
Hospital, I believe
Loretta called me the other day about a bed. Hopefully by the end of the month we'll be able to provide them if someone needs it. But they still have a good, very good treatment program. They have a good mental health, emotional health services. And the hospital is getting even better each and every month, year, at servicing trauma unit patients again. For years, the funding was lacking to put the resources in their emergency room needed for more trauma success. I'll say it that way. But now they're having increased success at helping those with trauma and not having to transfer as many out to County, Mount Sinai, and other hospitals and West Suburban for more support services, because they are really starting to grow their services, and they have gotten more and more top-notch doctors in their rotation. They're struggling to always keep up with the pay scales because they're a small hospital, but they haven't given up. And they have saved so many people from overdoses on the west side over the years. They may have fallen short with some gunshot victims and others, but when it came to overdoses, they have saved a tremendous number of families from the horrors of death from overdoses. So they've been a beacon of light continuously in that area, and they've helped people improve their quality of living, get a new way of life after they save their life. And they have gone in, and actually there's hundreds of families me and Eric know of that have gone through Loretta Hospital programs that are all over Chicago and the suburbs, helping other families and people struggling with addictions change their life, avoid death in the street, and they are rebuilding their family into some of the most productive families in the United States of America.
Hand-Up Recovery Home has a couple of services that they provide people with. Educational, mental health, of course. Help people get their IDs, medical support, substance abuse, of course. Crisis services. Help people with insurance issues. Gun violence support, of course. Food assistance, legal assistance, employment.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, funerals.
Yeah, we did our fair share of memorial services, help people have funerals, help bury people. We're fortunate that the communities around us, when people do not have the financial wherewithal, Garfield Waters helps us bury people and do funeral services for people and memorial services. We have Johnson's Funeral Home, a small funeral home that helps us, that works with New Tiberia as a spiritual compass. We're in the beginning stages of developing a coalition to help people with grief. Not only it started out with us trying to help those dying and victims of gunshots and gun violence and other forms of violence. However, we're trying to now develop a grief format from block to block, from library to library, from organization to organization, whereby we bring people together to talk about grief, whether it's from cancer deaths in your family, or whether it's from children dying from diseases and illnesses, whether it's parents, whether it's sisters, brothers, grandparents. We want people to heal. You can heal from grief. You can live through grief and beyond grief. But sometimes you need to be able to vent about where you're stuck and struggling and be able to then come up out, rise like they say the phoenix. You have to be able to rise like the village in Sankofa. We want to create that village around so many people suffering from losses. And you even have people grieving, kids who are still grieving, being separated by the state from their family when they were children. And we need to help people heal so that, because pain causes more pain, unfortunately. And a lot of the gun violence, addiction, alcoholism, gambling problems, we see in our communities, the abuse of pharmaceutical drugs, especially opioid types and barbiturates. A lot of that come from pain, unresolved pain, emotional, mental, unresolved pain. Anything else you want to add, Eric?
Well, changing lives and saving families has been our motto, actually. I'm just grateful that we continue to do that.
Yeah, and also don't want to forget, we do always give referrals to employment opportunities, employment services, training programs. So we try to build the whole person. We sent you to different spiritual avenues that best fit you or help you grow into those spiritual avenues you prefer. And we believe in God, not the one on 36 per se, but the one called good, orderly direction and honor, and in memory of our dear beloved brother who helped us change our life, Bobby Joe Alexander, one of the greatest counselors in the recovery community ever, one of the greatest people in the recovery community, period, no matter what anonymous group he was in. Bobby Joe was the greatest. And he had a visual problem, but he could outread and comprehend the average person by far.
We're located at 4032 West Van Buren. Our telephone number and email address.
Telephone number 773-213-0802. And the email address is wecook, WECOOK, 3289 and our other organizational is PUHA Rec 2005 at gmail.com.
When you look at that skyline behind us, the city of Chicago.
That's our territory.
Talk about second chances. Look at,
That's our district. We work in policy making, community saving lives, reducing violence. That city behind us and further west in particular.
As I think about the situation that's devastating California right now, thank God for second chances.
Thank God that we put out a lot of fires in people so that they can calmly rebuild and further develop our city and suburbs.
Almost like what appears to be a rainbow between the tallest buildings in the background there.
Yeah, dude, that's a great skyline.
Chicago.
Thank you all for that background today.
Thanks, Can TV.
So that our light blue shirts wouldn't bounce off the other background. Great job. Our support team. And look forward to us coming to other networks in the future. We're going to expand our outreach and we're going to have more guests. Hopefully next week everything work out. We will be talking to an ex-offender theatrical group that's being produced tonight at I think it's Stith and Wilbert Theater, but it's a group called Mud. We're supposed to have one of the producers of their play here next week. She's a regular occurrence on different TV shows and movies made in Chicago, Brooke Bennett. So you all, hopefully we will have Brooke Bennett here sharing how you can change your life through all of the cinema that's going on in Chicago and network with the thespian actress community.
I gotta just mention,
Denzel Washington.
Dr. Martin Luther King's actual birthday today, and we're gonna be celebrating it next week on the third Monday in January is, I think it was President Reagan that first started that.
A Republican?
But
We was
to
built-
the King family.
A handout was built off a Republican-based program to help people recover from alcoholism, substance abuse. So they do good. So Trump sent us our package to help save the people.
And I do know the King actually lived in North Lawndale when he was in our
Yes,
city
and-
for our time.
And some of the people that
On Hamlin.
Yeah, on Hamlin, but that's another story another day. We thank God for King having the courage to die for us to do better, and hopefully we'll be able to do better and be prophetic like King and have a vision to help poor people and not just upper middle class folk that have benefited from King's life and death. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Cook.